Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the League of Inches podcast, and welcome to Inches from Kickoff, our preview show for round 4. Very much looking forward to it. A few little talking points to get to before we get stuck into a bit of TLT news, a little bit to unpack there, some big news there. We're going to do a bit of Origin Watch as well. It seems quite early, but I reckon it's going to come around very, very quickly. So each week moving forward, we're going to talk about a couple of players, whether from a good or a bad point of view, form-wise, things like that. Where they're at in our sort of team makeups and the like. We've got a Pack Lords multi, so stick around for that. We're going to go thanks to the owner himself of Pack Lords, Brent. He's going to give us a same game multi for this weekend using random players that he gets out of his deck of cards, basically, that he'll open, pack of cards, I should say. My lingo of it is absolutely horrendous, but we will let you know a bit more about that down the track. Obviously, our tips and best bets for round 4, also our round 3 results. And guys, there's some moving and shaking, and I'm up and about because some things happened last weekend, and it got me moving in more ways than one. Brent, how are you, mate?
Jolly, brother, good to be here as always. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Another week of footy to look forward to, and yeah, some cracking games lined up for this weekend. So pretty keen to get into it with you this evening. And yeah, Origin Watch, that'll be cracking, mate. It's it creeps up quickly. It's already April next week, so it's not too far away. So keen to talk about some bolters and whatnot potentially with you, mate. And yeah, just looking forward to getting amongst it once again.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And again, thank you to Caxton Street Brewing Company for being the major sponsor of the page and podcast. I can announce now, guys, officially that we'll be hosting 2 events over Magic Round. So the Saturday, a lot more chilled, a lot more relaxed. Basically, just come and have a drink with us. We'll have a few of our content creator mates and things like that around as well. Just nice little area sort of sectioned off for us. There's a lot happening. I can't really give away anything at the moment, but it's not my place to do so. But for what I know is happening there on the Saturday, it is going to be huge. So you want to be part of things. A little bit down the line, I might do some little giveaways and stuff to get in and get VIP sort of access to be in our area type thing. But that'd be really cool before, obviously, all the games start. Very keen for that. And then the Sunday, really keen and excited for this one. We're going to do a recovery session. So what's going to happen is from about 10 o'clock, open the doors there. We're going to do a ticketed event, which will be announced shortly, the pricing and things like that. It won't be that much, guys, to be honest with you. We want to get as many people in there as possible. Partnered this with Retro Rugby League, which is going to be awesome. We're going to do basically come in for your recovery from probably a big Saturday night. Come in, chill out, meet the guys, meet a few of these other content creators. We're going to invite a few more on. We're going to do like a live show for the first sort of hour or so. After that, sit around, have a bit of a chat again, do whatever we want to do, and then venture off down to the games or wherever we want to venture to after that. So some really cool events lined up for that. Keen to lock in. We'll be locking in some guests moving forward over the next week or two. We'll announce them as we go, and it'll be a stacked lineup, I'm sure, about it for that podcast, which I'm very, very keen about. But thank you very much. And one final announcement. It seems like announcements galore at the moment. Sunday, it's going to be a massive review show. Very keen for it. It's going to be myself, Brent, and we've got a special guest who's going to be hanging around here and there, that's for sure. You already knew about it, but he's coming on for his first one of the year. Trent Hodgkinson will be on talking all things that has happened in round 4 of the NRL, which I'm very, very pumped about, and I'm sure Brent is as well.
Oh, mate, it's you have to be careful. I might get a bit blushy and nervous talking to the great man. But yeah, very much looking forward to that, mate. What a privilege that will be, and it'll be awesome to get some insights from a former player. And he's obviously very switched on. So yeah, super excited for that one on Sunday, mate.
Mate, he broke the streak. Obviously, we're talking about the Origin dynasty that unfolded. So I reckon his nickname when he comes on the podcast, let's not tell him about it. Let's call him Brock Lesnar. I reckon the whole show, I'll just keep referring to him as Brock. Just go, hey, Brock, how are you, Brock? What's your insights there? He's probably going to look at us going, what the F are these guys on? It'll be our little inside joke, guys, and see. Firstly, he might listen to this show, actually. He might get onto us. He might have something in store for us, but we will see. It's going to be a heap of fun. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to his insights from a player point of view as well, and there's plenty happening in the game at the moment I want to pick his brains for, so very, very keen for that. But let's get into things, Brent. There's plenty to talk about tonight. We don't want to take up too much of your time at all, but First, I want to touch on me and Isaac. Obviously, had our podcast last night, which was awesome. Press box. Thank you to those that have watched it, commented things like that. Some great feedback so far. That'll be a weekly thing. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure you do it. It's probably just below wherever you clicked on for this podcast. So just go just a little bit below. So we touched on the Broncos stuff and obviously everything that's happening with the Ben Teo situation. We sort of forgot to touch on this one aspect that I think is pretty big here, and it's sort of the Sydney media. There's a lot of media at the moment piling on Madge, and I'm getting a bit sick of it, to be honest with you. And there's a few things that I feel like hasn't quite come to the surface properly, or has been skimmed over because it sort of paints the Broncos and Madge in a better light than what suits the narrative at the moment. And that's this whole scenario around Ben Teo and leaving, and part of the reason why he's left. It's not the sole reason. There's obviously a few things that happened there, but being told about he can't join Queensland camp this year and be part of the coaching staff. Now, we cannot forget here the fact that the Broncos have already committed themselves to one of their assistants, Matt Ballin, to be already part of the Queensland camp this year. So they allowed Ben Teo to go as well. That's two assistants out of, I think they've got three there, not there for, it's not just one game, guys. It's not just the 80 minutes. It's literally, we know by now, we've seen how Madge actually worked the Blues. It's like a 10-week, 8-week period where you're literally all in. And if you're not all in, you're going to lose a series. It's plain as that. And I think it's actually really fair from the Broncos' point of view here, Brent, to say no to this request because, unfortunately, Ben got in late. He wasn't the first one in. And the Broncos have to put themselves for their... I said it last night. They're in this... 2 months ago, they were talked about having the next dynasty. They've got a very good team that are defending premiers. They need all hands on deck for as much of this season as possible to achieve anything. And that includes the origin period, which they will lose a number of players. I think it made complete sense to tell you to Ben Teo, sorry, mate, but you're not doing it. What do you think?
Mate, I must admit, I haven't had a great deal of opportunity to read up exactly on what's happened in this space. So is that confirmed in that he ended up walking because he was keen to get in the Queensland camp? And
it's not all the reasons. It's part of it, apparently. There's been heated discussions along the way, not seeing eye to eye, personnel clashes and stuff like that. I've heard some rumours around about the fact that he's almost been handshaking agreement with South to get a job there moving forward. I'm not to make that what you will, guys. That's literally just a rumour. I'm letting you guys know about that. I've heard over the last 24 hours by a couple of people, actually. So read into that what you will as well. Convenient timing. But yeah, that was one of the reasons I'm being told that has led to this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, Benny Teo was also a premiership winning player under Madge, if I'm not mistaken. Have I got that completely wrong? I'm pretty sure he went comp under him.
Yep.
So I'm sure
that was his last year at the Bunnies, and then he left to Union.
Yeah, so, I'm sure that he has a lot of respect for Madge there, and I'd be a little bit surprised if it was a clash with Madge as well, just because of that relationship. I know Madge is well known for being a pretty hard-nosed coach, and I've even heard Benny Teo interviewed before and said those pre-seasons were just wild that he had under him. But, yeah, it's a funny one. I also understand that Benny Teo has got aspirations to coach his own team, maybe an NRL dream one day as well, and there's probably a better opportunity for him in South, potentially sooner rather than later with Bennett. He's obviously, I don't know if the bloke will ever stop coaching, but, if you compare the two, despite what the Brisbane, Queensland media will throw around the place around Madge, you'd have to think there's probably more likely a job coming up at the Rabbitohs before there will be at the Broncos, I would have to assume. So, maybe there's something else there as well. Potentially, Jolie, I know, again, pure speculation, but it's just, again, one of those really odd things for it to happen the way it has, round 3. He's a well-respected player, and I would imagine he probably has good respect from the playing group there as well. He's not, I'd imagine he's someone that you'd want around your players. He's got that, he's won comps, he's done it all, he's a noted hard player, you know what I mean? So it's just weird, again. There's some funny stuff going on in Brisbane at the moment. You look at the Gordy stuff and the renaming of the room, and there was always rumblings pre-season which we weren't understanding, and they hadn't even run on, and they were defending premiers and were already copping a bit of heat. So yeah, it's interesting. That sort of stuff, I guess, can affect how they go on the field. They had a great win last week, mate, but how do you get a read on something like this? It's just so bizarre to me, and it's obviously nothing that they really want to be dealing with right now. I guess the only possible blessing in disguise, if you will, is, would that mean someone like Cameron Smith now walks straight into a position like that and then if you're talking about a replacement, that's not terrible, is it?
Oof. He hasn't actually been spoken about by really anyone at the moment, but that is, I guess, when you look in and start to peel back some of the curtains, that's a massive bit of speculation, I guess, because he's part of the camp already. We all know how good of a rugby league brain that Cameron Smith has, and there'll be no one in the game currently that has more respect, worldwide in rugby league than Cameron Smith. So to have him at your doorstep, I'm telling you now, I would be going to him straight away. I'd be saying, like, obviously it's pretty hot and heavy at the moment. They probably don't want to be seen as that team that straight away moves on 24 hours later from an assistant coach. But, like, that's someone who could really save that team at the moment, morale and whatever else is going on. You've got him there. May as well try and lean on him and go, Cam, like, what do you actually want to do moving forward? Because he hasn't really doing much of his media commitments that moving forward at the moment either. He stepped away from a couple of his radio shows and stuff at the start of the year. So to me, to the naked eye, it seems like he might be trying to lean in a bit more to this coaching side of things. And this might be just the perfect door that's open for him to really dive in head first, so to speak, and get into it.
Yeah, and look, they've already got him lined up, right? But I don't know when, was it from this year? I don't know when if he's officially already joined.
Yeah, he's already in there. He's already started.
Yeah, so, like, that to me makes complete sense. And obviously, I wouldn't have thought that's the reason you get rid of Teo, but yeah, man, you got guys like Moser coming through, and they're going to have someone like Cam Smith in his ear, and just that general game management knowledge. He's touches the ball more than anyone on the field in the history of the game, given he's played the more games than anyone in history of the NRL. I mean, as I said, what an absolute blessing it ends up being if that's what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty more, I'm sure, will come out of the Broncos camp over the next couple of weeks. It just seems to be the flavour of the month. It's getting clicks. It's getting everyone paid, I guess, from a media point of view. So they'll continue to ramp at home, and it feels like they're going to keep going until they get Madge sacked, which I really feel for the bloke. He doesn't deserve it at all. And I said it last night. He deserves like an 18-month grace period, in my opinion. He just won a comp for crying out loud. It's just, I don't get it.
No, I think the only other thing is, like, maybe there's fallout from the Tallis stuff. I know behind closed doors there's a bit of embarrassment in Broncos HQ about certain people weren't happy about what happened with the renaming of the room, and I think Teo and Tallis had some sort of link up at South at one point as well. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see. Maybe there's some mad politics going on behind the scenes, but I think I'll leave that to the politicians and try and worry about the footy on the field, brother?
Yeah, we will, and just on that as well. But it's quite funny because that is obviously that was the story and the lie. But all we ever heard was about there's potentially a couple of people in and around the club that weren't happy with that decision. I heard today that this story has been blown up deluxe because apparently the renaming of the Gordon Tallis room, he had his name taken off that room a while ago. Apparently, it's only now become a story because now Ali Bringenshaw's name's been put on the door. So it's actually been something that's happened for a while now. And like I said last night on our podcast, the fact that he has been so critical for so long about the Broncos, and most of the time it's just felt like a personal attack and personal agenda because of the Kevy Walters sacking. I reckon there'd be also many at that club going like to the point where they go like, we're sick of this guy. Like he just badmouths the club nonstop. They've extended offers. Like Gordy openly admitted last week on NRL 360 and almost like he was proud of it. Madge extended the invite to come in and meet and have a chat. I think it was last year when stuff was happening, and he declined it. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. So if you want to be a bit of a sook like that and carry on, you can't have it both ways. And that's the thing what I mean with the media at the moment. It just feels like there's this whole big pile on at the moment for Madge and the Broncos. And look, they haven't done everything right. There's no doubt about it. There's some stuff happening 100%. No one's denying that. But the constant one-sided stories I think we're getting fed over the last week or two is just getting really tiresome, because I bet you now if you walked into that place, there'd be a number of staff members who would have said, yeah, we're pretty over what Tallis is saying. Like, he goes on about how much of a Titans man he is and stuff now. It is what it is. I think it's pretty much a move on type story, in which we'll probably start doing now as well, because I'm sick to death of talking about the Brisbane Broncos, mate. Let's go to the Warriors, who are just killing it at the moment. But unfortunately, a bit of news came out this morning about, and I don't think it's really a surprise after some of these rumours that's happening in the background signings-wise, but Roger Tuivasa-Sheck set to leave the Warriors at the end of the year. Not to rugby, though. That was probably the odds-on favourite. He's going to the Super League, by all reports, to Wakefield Trinity. This is off the back of rumours that they've signed Will Warbrick from the Storm, which I think is in the cooling-off period, so expect that to be announced. I think they'd probably have a couple of days left with that. And then the Green Anderson rumours as well floating around that they're after him. So that probably makes me think that Dallin Watene-Zelezniak could be going at the end of this year as well. I think there's a mutual option there. I'll be surprised if he continues on, because don't forget, they've still got Alofia Campiera at the club as well. So some really great talent at that club, especially on the wings and coming to the club. It's probably a bit of a gutted feeling for Warriors fans, because he's been one of their favourite sons since arriving there from the Roosters to Avasa Sheck. But, mate, it's probably expected.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I think it's just that he's getting that age in his career, right? I think he's 33 this year. He's at the end of his career. He's been a great servant of the game. There's not, one Dally M winner, you know what I mean? Like those years at the Chooks, he was absolutely phenomenal. Great to see him, provide some service to the Wars over in his home country to finish out his career as well. But yeah, he's just getting to that point of his career, isn't he? And I guess we'll just have to make sure we savour this rest of this season, because it'll be a sad thought to think that we won't get to see Shecky run around the NRL anymore. And good to see that he'll still play on. I reckon he'll probably still cause some headaches for another couple of years yet, despite his age. He's still as strong as an ox and still got some great footwork considering his age. And just been probably a great role model. Never got himself into really any trouble. Ultimate professional from what I can gather. So had a great career. Hope he continues and goes on and wins a few things, and maybe even this year could he get a big final hurrah? Who knows? But all the best to him, and he's been a great servant of the game. So good on the Sheck, and love a bit of Sheck, mate.
I feel like he will absolutely tear the Super League apart as well. You can just tell he'll probably sign as a fullback as well. Like he's good enough to go there and be the fullback at this club. I don't know a whole heap about Super League, but I think Wakefield is one of those clubs that sort of are struggling time to time. They're not a big powerhouse sort of club, so it's a surprise he's probably going there. But to be fair, I think they get like one marquee real signing each club type thing where they can give him some really decent money, and they're probably doing this with Roger. And for another couple of years to make some good money, go overseas, travel a little bit with his family and the like. Good on him. It sucks, absolutely, but the game always moves on, and well done to Roger, looking after himself and his family and getting a few more years out where the game, how quick it's getting now, the NRL, he'd probably only have a year or so left in this sort of game as it is anyway, so good time to get out there and leave. Origin watch, mates. So let's get into some Origin talk. Some people might be thinking, mate, it's only round 4. But I'm telling you now, this will come around so quickly. All of a sudden, it'll be Magic Round, and all of a sudden, it'll be in the thick of things when it comes to Origin. So, as I said at the start, we'll just talk about a couple of players each week. I've chosen the 2 for each team this week, and then we'll probably switch it over. I'll get Brent to bring up a couple next week. So, I've gone, for the Blues, I've gone one player that I think is a real big smoky coming into this year, and it's a reference to a post I put up on the page today. Follow socials if you haven't already, League of Inches. And then another player I think is under a bit of pressure that when there was some rules that first got announced, I feel like everyone was jumping on him going, yeah, he'll walk in this pack and how good will it be? But if we're going to call a spade, he has been dreadful to start the year. And on form, if we had to pick a team next week, I wouldn't be picking him. But firstly, Dylan Walker from the Eels, mate. And even with the 6-man bench now, which will happen in Origin, guys, I think the versatility of players is key. It's crucial. I know I'm probably got some blue and gold glasses on here, but his signing for the Eels have been massive. We have basically changed as a team the moment he stepped foot on the football field for us. And you can tell when he comes off the bench and provides that impact, everything just goes up a couple of levels. Like he's so crucial to everything at the moment. And more games than not, I'd say probably 90% where he's come on and made a significant difference to how the Eels play. And I think he's been forgotten about a little bit. He's obviously had a bit of time with the Blues early on in his career. I think he started as a 5'8", which wasn't it didn't quite work for him. He got probably rushed in too early. Heard some rumours about him off the field and stuff as well. But what are your thoughts around Dylan Walker at the moment, Brent, and finding a way perhaps onto this New South Wales bench?
Look, mate, it's certainly a what would I say? It's an interesting shout, and I know a lot of people probably hear it at first and just dismiss it, like probably doesn't get the respect he deserves. And yeah, he's a guy, like you said, if you're looking to get a utility on that bench, particularly with a six-man bench that can cover a number of roles, I don't know who would be better than him. He can play anywhere in the middle there. You could chuck him at lock. He's played centre. He's obviously can play in the halves as well. He could go into dummy half if you needed him to. So if you're talking like pure utility, and you think about what other utilities New South Wales have to pick, and I'm sure we'll get to some of those over the next few weeks as well, mate, so I won't go too much into those. He's one of those guys that's just purely based on his utility, the fact that he can play so many positions. That in itself is a huge lot of value, especially if you could just chuck him on a six-man bench. I think the questions for me about him, mate, is like, what is he? I think he's like early 30s too, so he's like 31-ish, 32. So he's not young. He hasn't, he has had a run in Origin, but he wasn't, he didn't get established in there obviously. So he's had a little bit of exposure there. He won a comp with South, if I'm not mistaken, as well, in his early years. So he's got some really good experience that gets overlooked. But I do just wonder, like, in that sort of high intensity arena for his age, and that is that past him? Is the speed of it past him? I don't know. I think one thing that's been really good to see from him is like his maturity over the years as well. He was a real fiery young bugger when he first, like similar to Cody Walker. He just, give him any reason and he'd go at you, but he's really reined it in, controlled aggression, and I think that's a really good sign of his maturity. And I think he does have something he could offer there. I just wonder whether maybe it's just an age thing that they wouldn't look at him, to be honest, just because of where he's at his age. They try and plan for the future. But as I said, with a six-man bench, if you're looking for a pure utility, it doesn't, for New South Wales, I don't know, without having a good think about it, who would be better suited to that type of role, to be honest.
And the thing is, he's in form. So this isn't just a shout for a guy that's had one or two good games and that's it. Like, over since literally he's got to the Eels, and even before he was doing some good things at the Warriors, but I really think he's elevated his game since arriving at the Eels. I've at least noticed it a lot more anyway. And I know the age thing and stuff like that, but I always say for Origin, when it comes to that, I'm all about winning the series now. Like, I don't care about 2-3 years in our time. I want to win now. I'm as a Blues fan as well, like, I'm over it. I just want to win. So if they're best players, it's like Mitch Barnett or whoever, I don't care if they're 35, 36. They're the best player at the moment in that position or for that role. I'm happy to play him. Just pick him. Dylan Walker, like we've both just said, can cover so many positions. The speed and stuff, that might be a question, but as well, like, I've noticed when he comes on the field, like, he plays so quick and like everything just goes up another level. So it's sort of like maybe a quick scene like that would suit his game even more.
Yeah, and he plays that. We talk about ball playing locks. Like, he is really good at that role. His tempo is really good. He's really good at taking a few steps, playing short. He can play out the back. His ball playing, I reckon, is a little bit underrated. So even if you were looking for someone that could spell Yowie for a little bit, like, he would assume that role pretty good. You've probably I haven't looked super closely at his defense in all honesty, but he's a pretty decent sized unit, and I think for sure, like, in terms of like understanding like where the game's at, as well as far as like in the moment, he seemed to be a good level head. You know what I mean? He's experienced. I think he'd pull the right levers when you need him to, and yeah, I reckon he could certainly offer some value there for sure.
Yeah, we're not suggesting it, guys. Obviously, it's just an idea. Putting it out there as a smoky. He's in that category. There's obviously a lot of very good forwards to choose from this year for the Blues, but at the moment, form-wise, I definitely think he deserves and should be in the conversation. Again, if we're picking teams next week, I'd probably be very, very tempted to be putting him in my six-man bench, that's for sure. Next man for the Blues that I've got here is Addin Fonua-Blake. So a bit forward-heavy for this one for the Blues, which I think we'll probably talk about a lot moving forward because there's a lot of options. It's all about form and the like. But when I think about the options we've got to choose from this year, like Payne Haas, Terrell May, Kaloa Matangi, Mitch Barnett's come back already, and after half a game has shown that he has not missed a beat, and he was just as good as ever in that victory against the Knights on the weekend. And there's a few more that I've obviously forgotten. Stefano's been on fire this year. But then I'll go to Addin Fonua-Blake, mate, and I've got to be honest, I think he has been pretty dreadful to start the year. Probably a reflection for the Sharks as well. And I think that collates together because I think the Sharks play the best when they're on the front foot, which is from their forwards, which then Brayley can go on the front foot and run a little bit, which then encourages the halves to start running onto the ball and things like that. So it's sort of all starts from the engine room, and Adam Fanua-Blake is the leader. He's been recruited there on big money to be their leader of that forward pack and probably that football club, really. And he's failed fairly miserably to start this year. Even the Titans, when we had that massive win, he didn't do anything that I sat back and went, wow, like that's huge. Like he got a 10 out of 10 game type thing. Like it was just another game where I was like, oh yeah, like, okay, cool. What are your thoughts around Adam Fanua-Blake? Because when this rule came out in the switch, he automatically becomes available for the Blues, and everyone, myself included, I straight away predicted the team and had him straight in there. But going off form at the moment, that's sort of where I'm trying to base this sort of stuff off at the moment. I can't put him in.
Oh, you're spot on, mate. If we're not picking by name and we're picking by form, and you had to pick it today, he's not there. But set that aside for this conversation, and I think the idea of him playing for the Blues, even though I've been a little bit on the fence about all the eligibility rule changes, it's arousing. As a Blue, it's arousing because I think he gets up for that occasion and he's got the mongrel that you need. Like, he is one bloke that when I question the passion and that sort of thing for some of them, I don't think that bloke would need any help and that would be an issue. I know that we've had some interesting squad selections over the years, particularly last year with certain guys not getting picked. But
thanks,
to me,
Loz,
fuck, you're killing us, brother. But to me, like the thought of like being able to roll out like a Payne Haas, Kolomatangi, AFB, Stefano Utoikamanu unit,
May,
like, and then have someone like that, like that's scary. Like that is a scary, scary middle rotation. If you were to have four of those four guys, and it wouldn't really matter, maybe you would leave Terrell May out on leg speed from an impact perspective. But like Terrell, that's the only criticism I could have of him. But imagine rolling out AFB and Haas or AFB and Colo and then having Stefano and Haas or whatever you want to do, like coming on. Like that is nightmare stuff, in my opinion. And it's hard to stop. That he is a big unit. When he gets going, he takes 2 or 3 blokes to bring him down. He's got a quick play the ball. So, yeah, outside of current form, I love it. And I think he will be in the conversation regardless of his form, just because I don't know what's going on at the Sharks. And we called it out last week. His first 2 weeks have been, or whatever it is, been pretty ordinary, right? So he needs to pull his finger out if he does want to actually start to get mentioned in that conversation. I think for his name, he'll just get mentioned regardless, but he needs to show a bit more. Even if he does want to play, he's not really showing it at the moment. So whether that's a symptom of whatever's going on at Cronulla, I don't know. But I'd love to see it, brother. I think it's a great shout. And as I said, it is arousing to think that he could wear a sky blue jersey and roll out with a couple of those other big boppers that we could have to choose from as well.
And I think he's earned respect in the game where if we'll take form away from things and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, he's shown time and time again now in his career that if it's a big game and he's part of it, he rises to the occasion. He's been some of the best players on the field time and time again in a lot of those big games. Remember that Warriors finals run that they had a few years ago? He was front and center of that. A huge vital reason why they're doing that. He was scoring tries at will and the like. When he's playing for Tonga in those games, he's always standing up and putting his best foot forward and that for the team. So I've got no doubt in my mind if he got picked and knowing the stage that this is, it's probably the biggest stage he'll ever play in front of. Actually, I don't want to disrespect the Tonga Samoa after what I watched from last year. That's upright. That's alongside. I've said that a number of times now, but you know what I'm trying to say there is it's a big stage, huge for him, and I would probably pick him at least game one and give him the benefit of the doubt and say, look, go out there. Like you said, this Bash brother sort of mentality that we could literally put out in front of us, it'd just be too mouthwatering not to pick him.
Yeah, and if it means we stop looking at guys like, no offense to him, again, great servant of the game and bleeds blue, but like guys like Gerber, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, full credit, professional NRL players are players, and I haven't, but we're here to, criticise and in the business of talking footy. Like, if we got to stop looking at some of these guys, you know what I mean? If we're dead set and we want to, roll through these guys and put them under pressure, we got to stop picking these sorts of guys. AFB is perfect for that arena, and I'd love to see it.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the Queensland side of things. Try and take any bias aside here, which is always hard when we talk Origin. You just, even already now, like I know it's a while away, but you just get that pump going. You're like, oh, let's get into it. But for Queensland, I've gone sort of forward here, and I've gone their back rowers. I've actually got, at the moment, I had a post I was going to put out this week, but I thought I'll wait a week or two. It's probably a little bit early, but I've made some form sort of teams together. Had both of these guys as my starting second rowers for the Maroons going off just their start to the years, and that's David Fafita for one and Jaden Sewer the other, which we can talk about as a grouping, really, Brandon. I've been really impressed by both of these. I know that Fafita hasn't really cracked it yet in the attack and the try yet that everyone's waiting for him to put on a few tries. But I've actually been really impressed with a lot of his hard work that he's done coming out of his own end. He's putting his hand up to take some of those tough hit ups and the like. So there's still plenty to work on in his game. But I've really liked what I've seen so far, and he's shown me enough already to suggest he did have a pretty big off season. He trained obviously really hard. He's looking a lot better than he has in the past, and I know him and Billy have had this awkward relationship that they're going to have to try and repair. If I was him, I'd be getting on the phone to Billy if I haven't already, like literally from this week going, mate, I know it's 2.5 months away or something, but I want to put my hand up again for this state. I want to do what I can to get in. And if I was Billy, I'd know deep down that I've probably got a weakness there when it comes to the back row. I don't have as much power as probably New South Wales have. I'm listening, and I'm probably being very honest with Fafita, saying this is what I need from him. But I reckon the state of mind that Fafita's in at the moment, he'll return, and he has the best, obviously, Maroons coach of all time in Bennett. So it's a great time for him to do what he's got to do. And then Jaden Sewer, mate, I reckon he has been unreal to start the year. I know the Dragons haven't got the win yet, but there's no lack of trying from Jaden Sewer. He's been fantastic. Again, on the weekend, he was probably the Dragons' best player. That line he ran for that try, like there's not many ball running back rows that can do that line and do it to perfection like he can. I think he's very underrated when it gets to this scene. He's never put a foot wrong in the past whenever he's played for Maroons, but he always seems to be that guy that's sort of on the cusp. I reckon he's done enough at the moment to be getting that starting spot.
Yeah, another couple of good shouts, mate, and plenty of pedigree in those names. Sewer did, I think it's been a couple of years now since he was in that arena, but he's been there, done that. And same with Fifi. I guess starting with Fifi, mate, I think everyone in rugby league circles has found it, a little bit odd that Fifi hasn't been in the conversation. But to be honest, like, again, probably looking at form, it's been warranted. Billy's, I guess, been true to his word in that sense and hasn't picked him. What I'd like to see from Fifi this year is, I guess, he's letting his play do the talking a little bit on field, and he's very involved this year. He's taking a lot of hit-ups in these first 3 games of the season. I think he ran for the most metres out of any player on the field in that Chooks Rabbits game. So he's not just getting touches of the ball, he's actually making an impact as well. Yes, he hasn't gone over that meaty that I keep getting on him every week in the besties with. But, mate, when he is on song, and I still think, we're going to see the best of Dave Fafita yet at South Sydney, obviously, as he keeps playing, gets more match fitness under his belt. That has always been his Achilles heel. He tends to get that weird niggle or something that slows him down. But if he gets humming in terms of staying on the field, as scary as those players I just mentioned for New South Wales are, that bloke running on an edge is one of the scariest prospects in rugby league, in my opinion. So if he can get that form and let his play get himself into that conversation, not any words he needs to have, that's going to be a scary thought for the Blues. Because, at the moment, I think last year, and I guess we can't knock them too much, and shout out to us watching it at Caxton Street last year for Game 2 with all those Queensland around us, brother. Picking guys like Cotter on the edge, who I was like, oh, that's a recipe for disaster. And as it turned out, it was a great selection, so credit to them. But, mate, if you're putting them two side by side in form, Cotter on an edge or David Fafita, I know as a Blue who I'd rather be there than, and it's not Dave Fafita. Nothing away from Cotter, I think he's more of a middle. And Nanai, I think, was the other edge, if I'm not mistaken. He's obviously not back yet fully. I think he's still a few weeks away, so he might be a bit slow on the return. So both of those guys that you mentioned possibly perfect for what they're looking for. Sewer's a criminally underrated player, criminally underrated back rower. what he does week in, week out. Defensively as well, he's super strong. He's very, very good in defence, puts on a great shot. And yeah, as you said, runs those brave lines, like hits those holes that halves love. He's a serious threat when he runs those lines because you don't actually know if he's going to get it because he will take the ball if he gets it.
Imagine him next to a good half. Fair income.
Absolute nightmare areas. So a couple of really good shouts. I guess they've got some other bolters, which I won't ruin it for future episodes. I won't mention any other names. Exactly, that was the one on my lips. And he's obviously going to be in that conversation as well. But both of these boys you mentioned, mate, are class players when they're fit and firing, and they wouldn't be able to place in a Maroons jersey this year. I'm a big Fifi fan, so it'd be good to see him get back to that. It would hurt Supercoach teams and all the like, but if we want to see a really good series with some really good players, then I'd love to see Fifi and Sua there.
And just a quick one on the Fafita stuff as well. Billy Slater, I'm sure, has the utmost respect for Wayne Bennett, and obviously he's grown up in that area. He's probably been coached a number of times by Wayne Bennett. I've got no doubt he's probably sitting back at certain points, knowing now the new rules as well, and knowing just how much stronger the New South Wales pack's just gotten. If the players are in form and stuff at the time and they're healthy and fit, he's probably no doubt thinking, I do need to raise something here to continue. Like, yeah, Cotter and that will probably still do a job. They do it every single time for the Maroons, but for being fair income about it, I reckon they are maybe one or two of those power forwards short at this current rate to really make an indent and threaten the Blues forward pack for what it could potentially be. I reckon deep down he probably knows if I can get Fafita back to somewhat of his best form that he's played Origin in the past, that will be a huge advantage for us. Like if we can get Fafita to there, he's that ace in the Queensland pack sleeve that would scare the shit out of me if I was sitting there watching game one, knowing that they've got him either on the bench or coming in and starting. I'm scared shitless. That's why I reckon if that phone call happened, Billy Slater straight on the phone to Wayne going, this is what I need. I'm sure Wayne, knowing how passionate he is about Queensland, he'll work so hard for Fafita over the next couple of months to ensure they get that version of Fafita. It'd be like a passion project, I reckon, for both of them.
Yeah, I don't like it as a Blue at all, mate. Just quietly.
Scares the shit out of
us. They've got some good young edges coming through now too. So we mentioned Lukey, you got Fini Fuyaki as well, who could be another one that we speak about in coming weeks, mate. So yeah, like you said, you wouldn't even need to start him. And to be honest, I reckon even a 40-minute stint of Fafita would be devo. Like there's arguments to say you'd be better off playing him for 50 or 60 a week anyway and get that better quality out of him rather than getting the 80 out of him. But yeah, imagine him coming off the bench after 20, 25 or 30 minutes. It's nightmare areas for the Blues. So, yeah, he's probably landed in the worst spot possible if you're a Blues supporter because, as you said, he's got that tutelage now of one of the greatest coaches of all time who is a Queenslander. And I'm sure Billy's got that phone with his phone number not too far away, mate. I won't be shocked to see him there.
Plenty more to come moving forward, guys. If you have a player or something you want us to look at, Origin-wise and stuff like that, you want us to bring up on the show, let us know in the comments and have your say about the players that we've just mentioned. Do you think Dylan Walker deserves a shot? Do you think AFB, form-wise, probably misses out? Would you just completely ignore form? And then for the Queenslanders, is that your starting back row at this present stage? Let's get on to some TLT news that happened yesterday with the TLT announcement. So, firstly, there's some news floating around the game at the moment about the Gold Coast Titans could pull a late switch and put Brimson back to centre, which would allow Ilias to start once again at probably halfback. I think this would mean Campbell pushes to the 6, lets him play that more running style, which I think probably suits him as well. Let's at least just focus on running this football team. This was my sort of halves pairing to start the preseason, so I am all for it. Brent, I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this potential change that could happen this week.
No, it's the change. That's what they need to do. They need to put Brimmer at centre. Kinney's obviously locked in there at the back. There's not nothing doing there. There has been times in the past where he'd slide into one, but that's Kinney's jersey now.
Yep.
Jojo Fafita, Max Fagai, I guess out of those two, I think Fafita's a little bit underrated. Jojo of the Jojo variety, to be honest, at times. So I think Fagai is probably the guy that drops out, right?
He might go to the wing and they might drop Faye Marnie or something like that.
Yeah, that's also possible. So. Yeah, also possible for sure. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing. And if it brings someone like Lockie Ilias into the halves, he's got that more structured game management of a traditional halfback approach as opposed to having a guy like JC who, great player, but very off the cuff, eyes up. play what he sees, which is very similar to Brimo. I think Brimo is also a little bit underrated defensively as well. I think he's pretty good. He's quite switched on. And then worst case, if you do have an injury, you can actually use him somewhere else as well. So, yeah, I'd like to see it, to be honest. I think Campbell's natural position is more of a 6 style and that running sort of style. So I think that would suit Campbell as well. Take a bit of pressure off him too. You don't have to worry about managing the game. Just you get into those spots where you want the ball and call for it when you want it, sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's good signs from Hannay. I do want to raise something else about the Titans before we move on, though, mate. But I think for now, that's something they certainly it'd be good to see. And if Ilias isn't the guy, then we've also talked about young Zane Harrison, who very green, obviously, and I think Ilias is the guy. I don't think Zane's even on the list this week, which speaks for itself. But they also then have the luxury of potentially looking at that option at some stage down the track as well.
Absolutely, he looks like he's obviously a star of the future in a way that they've been speaking about him. So really keen to see his future. What was the other point about the Titans? I'm curious.
Mate, I think it'd be remiss of us not to mention it, and that's what's going on with Big Tino at the Titans to start the season. Just what I mean by that is he's only played like 40 to 50 minutes off the top of my head. I should stat check myself on that. But he hasn't played the minutes that we've seen from Tino in years gone by. So he hasn't even played 50 minutes in one game for the first 3 games. So he played 49 minutes the first game, 46 in the second, 48 minutes in the third. I know he's sort of playing a different role due to the injury of Joel, I think it was, that went down late. But that, to me, still doesn't change a whole lot. If I'm honest, I don't think you need him in the rotation in the same sort of way. There's other guys that could do that role. So I guess my thing is he carrying something we're not aware of? Is something being sort of kept quiet behind closed doors that they don't want people to know about for some reason? Because I feel like if you're a team that's struggling the way that the Titans are to start the year, and they showed some really good stuff against the Finns, to be fair. They actually stayed with them. They obviously got done in the end. But the 2 games outside that got pumped by the Sharks, and then the Cowboys ran through them in the end. If you're looking for some answers to try and get your footy team back on track, I think someone like Tino needs to be out there more often than he's not. And at this point, I'm not too sure what Hannay's thinking, which is why, to me, it's like it has to be an injury, right? Like, what else could it be? Otherwise, what is he doing here? What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure what's going on. Like, I look at it and I think the most important thing for the Titans right now is not even to think about round 10, to think about right now and getting a win. Like, they need to get off the mark, and even not just for Henne's sake, obviously for first time coaching. I don't think he really cares. I think they know it's going to be a tough year when they go deep down and look at things. But you need to get that first win up, and just more so for the confidence in the group. That means, for mine, Tino needs to be playing big minutes. And whether he's playing middle or lock, really, for Tino, it doesn't change anything. And if he was lock, he'd probably be playing close to 80 minutes. I would be just pushing him right now. I would just be going hard with him. I don't know when their first buy is. I'll have a quick look at that.
Round 8.
Round 8. Well, there you go. There's a few more weeks for him. Start of the season. Like, there's no way in the world he should not be playing more minutes than the max he's played this year so far is 50. Unless he's got an injury at the moment, which is affecting him this much, I'll then go as far as saying I know it's not ideal, but for what he's putting out at the moment, because even when he is playing, to be fair, for what they're doing minutes-wise, he hasn't really done much on the field, and he's made a lot of mistakes. Like, it's been a very uncharacteristic start to the year for Tino. It's not just the minute side of things, which I guess Hannay controls. It's also a little bit for Tino to look in the mirror. He's obviously extended and stayed now at the Titans. Plenty believe that was only because of a money reason. He's earned so much on the Gold Coast, but he obviously sees something in the future of the Titans and believes what Hannay's building. And then he needs to show a bit more buying in on the field than what he potentially is doing, because he normally week in, week out, he's probably top 2 player in that on the field, not just for the Titans, but on the field every week. I don't think he's been in the top 10 in any of these games yet, and that's saying something.
No, mate, I absolutely agree. There's something going on that we mustn't be aware of. I just haven't heard any chat about it either.
If it's an injury as well, just let him have a week or two off that he needs to then come back and you get the best version. There's no point at the moment. You're just going to waste him. There's no point continuing to push him until round 8, where we'll probably get that week to rest whatever it is that's going on. There's either a high risk of something aggravating, whatever it is, if it is something that's going on. You're not getting the best version of him. Like, play Cooper Byer for an extra few, that 50-minute stint if you need to. Like, there's a player there that can do the job, probably nowhere near as good as prime Tino, but if it's a week or two where you just have to deal with it, do it.
Yeah, I agree, mate. So, yeah, I think they've got some, Matty Johns is up there now. They've got some smart footy heads.
Get him on.
Hane's obviously at the helm now, and he knows what Coutinho's capable of, particularly in that Origin camp and stuff. So it's just weird, and just hasn't been heaps of chat on it. So I've just hard to get a read on it, but I just want to throw that one at you. So well played, mate.
Spot on.
Cheers.
Spot on, mate. Good read. For the Warriors, Lukey Metcalf returns. It's not in the 7 either. So Tanner Boyd actually keeps his 7 spot, which I think is music to everyone's ears. He thoroughly deserves it. Metcalf will return in the 5/8 position. Now, Chanel Harris-Tavita is actually fit and able to play, but he's been named on the extended bench, not even the 6. He's actually off that side, so he doesn't make the 6, which means Sam Healy keeps his spot on the bench, which I am happy for Sam Healy. He's been fantastic and didn't really warrant the dropping. I just thought Harris-Tavita had built up enough in the game now to be able to play and have that sort of 14 spot, but full credit to Andrew Webster here. He's stuck on form and what's been happening so far to start the year, which I think a lot more coaches need to be doing, whether it's reacting to poor form or rewarding good form. I don't think a lot are doing that. They're relying on probably a little bit of last year's form still, which is now 6 months ago. But yeah, I'm really curious to see this because I think Metcalf's a better 5'8" than he is halfback, and we've seen him really evolve his game last year and start to become a very good player at halfback. I'm keen to see him back to his natural running game self. I know it might take him a couple of weeks with just obviously coming back from an ACL. And then I'm keen just to see Boyd just continue what he's doing because he's the form player of the competition alongside his big front row there in Jackson Ford. But there's only good things happening at the Warriors, mate.
Yeah, exciting times to be a Wars fan. We spoke on this last week and it sort of played out exactly as we predicted, right? So Harris-Tavita, perfect for that, one of those 6-man bench spots. And, if Metcalf isn't as good as he thinks he is, or in terms of that recovery, maybe he's not ready to go as he thinks. And great insurance to have Chanel Harris there to rely on. I think it's certainly what their best combination is for now while Tanner's in the form that he's in. He's just flying. So I guess I'll be interested to see whether they do just park them on each side of the field as well. It'll be very interesting if we start seeing them both swing around on each side as well, because I think Lukey Met, a couple passes out, is way more dangerous as well. You obviously give him a bit more space. You can isolate defenders with his speed. He's very underrated in that sense, I think, as well. Not underrated, but that is certainly one of his key attributes is his speed and being able to beat defenders. So I think it's great for Metcalf as well. I guess it's interesting to think, well, what is the future then for someone like Chanel Harris-Tavita if that is their combination moving forward? I know he had a bit of a break from the game in the last few years and he came back, which was a little bit interesting. So he's certainly not young either, but he has, as I said, he's always sort of selected in that Wars team when he's available. So obviously he's well respected and he's obviously an ultimate professional sort of thing. So I think initially it's just a great depth thing for them. I think Metcalf Boyd's certainly the combination they need moving forward. And if Boyd keeps this form up, gee whiz, I don't know really what you look at the team on paper. And I said, I've always a few questions about some of those outside back spots, but it's sort of hard to figure out where you're going to crack them, right? Like when you've got a forward pack performing the way that they do, Barney will keep getting better, and these young halves playing off the back of them, give them some space and a bit of a platform. I could be running off them, so it wouldn't matter, right? So, it should be an interesting game. A couple of really good forward packs this week, and then a bit of an understrength Tigers 6-7, depending what happens with Dewey. But just super excited to see the combo of Metcalf and Boyd, mate, and what that brings to the Wars, because it could be a dangerous one. And Metcalf can kick too, so it gives them another kicking option and different bits and pieces in attack. So they just keep getting stronger, and I just hope they haven't rushed him back. They didn't need to. He's sort of back a lot sooner than most of us were expecting to be honest. I think he's a couple of weeks early, so has had a history of injuries. I'd hate to see him go down again because he's a bit underdone. Surely not.
Don't put that out in the universe. Do not. I will stop you right there. Do not give that energy off.
Oh, mate, it's just so hard because the last 2 years the same thing's happened. He was leading the Dally M's last year when he went down. So I feel for him because I love Lukey Met myself, and I just want to see him get through it and be fit, because they're a threat when he's fit. So yeah, it's again exciting times to be a Wars fan, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've also got Tamari Martin to come back into this
Mm-hmm.
team at some point. He's obviously away at the moment with that broken leg. You've also got Jet Cleary that's apparently doing some great things in Cup and has done now for the last sort of 6 to 12 months. So there is tremendous depth at this club at the moment. And the interesting thing out of all this is Tanner Boyd's actually off contract at the end of this year. I'm shocked there isn't more clubs at the moment wanting to talk and get him, because I can already look at a couple of teams that could easily do with a Tanner Boyd at their club. But by all reports, he had a chance last year to go back to where he was from, the Titans, and he said no, he wanted to keep it going for the Warriors. So I'm also a little bit curious if he continues this form, knowing what they've got and who they've kept and stuff like that for the Warriors, they might price themselves out of whatever's happening. He might price himself out of the Warriors from next year onwards, because he might just, his manager and that might just look at the form and go, hey, you were about to re-sign me for 250, 300. I'm now playing like a bloody 650 player. I could get that elsewhere. You've got to come to the party, and all of a sudden they can't. It's going to be interesting what happens there moving forward. That is for sure. One to keep an eye on. But for now, Warriors fans, just wear it, continue on the ride, and it's very, very good to see.
And mate, just the other one, that was it. Luke Hansen that debuted last week.
Yes,
Like
yes.
he looks bloody awesome. So they've got so much depth. It's not funny. They really could let Boyd walk, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Final one on TLT. It's a big one tonight, but we've got. I just want to quickly talk about the Sasangi still at centre for the Canberra Raiders, and we were led to believe at the start of this in round one when it first happened that Tomoko was just nursing an injury and they needed to play him in New South Wales Cup just to get some confidence up. But we're now round 4, so we're now 4 weeks later. It's still the case. So this has become a form thing for mine. I don't know what's happening here, because Tomoko's a New Zealand centre. For mine, Tomoko's been a really good player for some time now. I think he may have not had his career best year by any means. I don't want to put much into the universe, but I'm interested to know, or to try and find out if something happened maybe in the preseason, training-wise or something. If he kicked up a stink about something, I don't know, because it just doesn't seem to make sense. That's all. I don't know, Brent. What are you thinking? It just looks like, I don't know if this is also pressured now because Noel Martin's doing so well into the back row that it's sort of a flow-on effect that Sasangi can't get a start in that spot either. So Ricky's seen enough that he wants to play him, but Sasangi hasn't let him down. I'm not trying to suggest that at all. He's been very good for him, actually. But for mine, Tomoko's got that bit of X factor which can help them on that edge of his. And I'm interested to know that now it's 4 weeks into this whole mystery sort of injury that he had. We're still here.
Yeah, and he's obviously a Kiwi international centre. Current, Tomoko's no mug at all. I think he's reasonably sound defensively, and no mug in attack as well. So it's a huge call if he's sort of sitting him on a form-based thing, but it's very Ricky, isn't it? He's the other strange thing is, as I said, Tomoko's not even on that 6-man bench. So he's got Jed ahead of him as well. So, if anything, I would have thought that he'd at least be floating around on that 6-man bench. So what is going on? I guess, is it one of those things where you hear about players, they sort of hit a crossroads in their career and they're not motivated? Like, was there something going on like that with Tomoko? I don't know. But Sasagi is a great player as well, a very underrated player, defensively very solid. And there's a lot of times when there's like not much going on for the Raiders, they give him the ball and he scores a try or creates a moment. Like, he's actually really underrated, I reckon, Sasagi. So it's interesting. Noah's obviously not able to be just pushed straight out of that jersey as well, and maybe Ricky wasn't expecting that. They haven't obviously started off the season winning all their games as well, so you can't really say it's not if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, do you think they're stronger having Martin and obviously Hudson Young on their edges, or, Roland Sasagi back there? I think, I don't know, I'd probably have Tomoko and Sasagi over Chris and Sasagi to me. Like, Chris is super solid, don't get me wrong, I'm just sort of clutching here, but I almost would prefer probably Tomoko and Sasagi personally, but then you got to be switching centres and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, mate, don't know what's going on. Ricky being Ricky's not going to just pick blokes because of their names, obviously. Maybe he's not seeing something that he likes, or he is seeing something that he already likes that he wants to keep working on. I don't know. Maybe Tomoko's still not quite there. But I had heard recently in the last week or so that Tomoko was pushing to return, and that would mean Sasagi would possibly drop back to the bench, and then Noah Martin might lose some minutes. So it's a very funny one. But again, they just have that luxury of a bit of depth there as well. Like if one of those boys goes down, you can throw Sasagi on the edge, whether it's centre, whether it's back row. Tomoko can come in. So they've got a little bit more depth there, which I don't think they had last year, and they did pretty well last year. So, yeah, mate, I don't know. That's a funny one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And at the moment, off the top of my head, I'm thinking if he is on the outer, there's a number of clubs, and I look at that emblem right there, and we would definitely, I reckon, go sprinting if Matty Tomoko became available at centre. That's for sure. And
He's
there's a number
Brian
of clubs. Let's not go there, please. On that note, let's move on because we are huge tonight. Let's get on to brand new segment for the podcast, for the show moving forward, and hopefully it's a good omen and we can crack it straight away. This is going to be really fun. So our Pack Lords multi, but so firstly, it is mentioning a little bit of gambling here, but obviously, firstly, what's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. But our Pack Lords multi, so each and every week, guys, thanks to Brent, who organises Pack Lords, and I'll let him do a bit of a spiel in a second about it all and how you can be part of it. And I know that the card collecting stuff at the moment has just become insane. New provider, everything like that. And the cards, apparently, from what I've read and heard and seen, are amazing at the moment. They're great designs and stuff like that. But we thought it'd be pretty cool to each week have a Pack Lords multi. So they help out as well, Pack Lords, with our draft, and they're our proud draft sponsor, which is awesome to see. But we're going to randomly pick out 3 cards. Brent will pick him out from a random deck that he gets or a pack. And the 3 players that he picks is what we'll put into a multi. And we'll be watching closely to see if it comes off. But Brent, firstly, just want to let everyone know who is listening. They might be big card collectors and don't know Pack Lords yet. Just a bit about what they do, or what you do, I should say.
Yeah, mate, can do. And thank you for the opportunity. And I think it's something that, for me, rugby league is just a passion of mine. So to do things like this, to get on here and talk footy with you, I just love it. And similar with the cards, right? So if you're not aware, obviously rugby league cards exist. I think most people are aware of that sort of thing. But yeah, I have a little side hustle, if you will, a side business that I do in my spare time. I still work a 9 to 5 like the rest of us. Don't call me Chewy for Lotto, that's for sure. But that involves, good old-fashioned cards. I've got a pack here, rugby league cards. So there's a thing in the card collecting world known as breaks. So basically, if you can't afford to buy a $200 box yourself, breaks are a way that multiple people can basically pay in to see a box get opened, and you have a chance to see some cards coming out of that box by paying only a portion of the price as opposed to purchasing the full box for yourself. I'll probably leave it there in terms of trying to explain what a break is, because it's probably a little bit confusing. But that said, I'll give myself a little shameless plug here. I also run a business called Pack Lords, and we have a Facebook page that we use to operate all of our card-related business, and that is called Pack Lords Breaks. So if you're on Facebook, that's me lifting my laptop. Pack Lords Breaks, that's where we do it also. All I would say, Jolie, is if you love your footy, you love your Supercoach like me. For me, cards just came with it, to be honest. I'm a footy nerd and love my footy cards and all sorts of cards. It's not limited to just NRL cards. We do NBA cards, NFL cards, Pokemon. A few of the other ones we're not right into at the moment with like the One Piece and stuff. It's a bit beyond me. But yeah, if you like your footy cards and sports cards and Pokemon, come check us out. Got any questions about any of it, feel free to hit me up. But that's probably it in terms of a bit of a plug. What I do have here, mate, and again, I appreciate this opportunity. I think this is a really cool little segment that we'll get rolling here, is I've got the latest new release for this year's NRL cards, and it's called League Heroes. So you've probably seen it around at your servos. They're popping up at servos all over the place when you go to pay for the fuel. If your fuel wasn't already expensive enough, you might not want to think, you want to pretend you probably didn't see these, because it could just bump the bill up a little bit more, which isn't what you want right now. And just as you mentioned, it's probably worth noting that the company that manufactured these this year is called Select, and some people might be familiar with Select. Those on YouTube will be able to see what I put. They have got the rights to the NRL cards this year for the first time in about over 10 years now. They used to do it a long time ago, but they've just got the rights back. So there's a whole new bunch of cards coming out. This was their first new set, League Heroes, and there'll be some more releases throughout the year, which is super exciting for NRL collectors because it's been pretty stagnant in terms of the same stuff for a number of years now. So if you haven't got into it, now's a good chance. First new release, League Heroes, and that's what we're going to be ripping tonight, mate, to start off our Pack Lords multi. Now, as a bit of a word of warning, I've not really planned exactly how this will go down, Jolie, so I reckon we'll see how we go tonight, and obviously those watching on YouTube will get a better insight into this now, but we'll obviously announce what the players are as we go, and we'll see how we go, mate. But yeah, let's, what do you reckon, rip into it and see what our first Pack Lords multi is of the year?
So rip and tear, leave the cards sort of down, and then I reckon just randomly pick out 3 cards. Obviously, one at a time. We'll just put it to the screen so we can see the player. Say it so those podcast listeners can hear, and then I'll put a post up over the next 24 hours or so, depending if there is a player that impacts the Thursday night game, and let them know what our multi will be.
Yeah, and obviously if they're not named, we'll replace them for whatever reason. That if they're not, there are a couple of doozies in there from last year with guys like Zach Lomax and things like that, but we won't talk about Zach anymore for your benefit, mate. All right, so I've ripped the first pack. I'll probably close my eyes, Jolie, and give them a little bit of a shuffle.
Yep,
I said to you, if we hit a huge card, I'll be more excited about the card that we hit, to be honest, as the card nerd in me. And what I'll do is I'll close my eyes here, giving them a bit of a shuffle. This is, I wasn't expecting this, and then, all right, I'm just going to pick the first one, Jolly. I'll bring it up to the screen. You can tell me how we're starting.
Oh, he's on a buy, so we're going to go again. But that looks like a good card. League Heads, Keon. Is that a good card?
It is. It's nice little League Heads, so some really cool designs as well. If you do have any kids or you even like cut footy yourself, mate, these is a great release to get into with the kids. Relatively cheap, $4 packs at the servo. So, and a great memory maker with your kids as well if you're looking to sort of bond and anything, and just some really awesome designs as well. Like the kids absolutely love these. My kids love them. They've done some really cool designs. So Keon's on the buy, not a ripper start, so we'll put him down at the side.
If you want to buy that card, guys, $10, just message Brent.
Yeah, no, hit me up. If you want any packs, I can sort you out. All right, what are we going here? Oh, we've gone the Panthers. The Panthers checklist. We need a player here. We've started on fire, haven't we?
Live podcasting.
Oh, how good's this? We'll have to do with editing, mate. All right, let's go again.
Oh, I like that. A Jerome Hughes, ATS. I like that. We'll have him. He's against the Cowboys, so that's very possible.
Good first leg. He'll be offering a little bit of value as a half, but he's likely. All right, leg 1, Jerome Hughes. Taking on the Cows too. He's on.
I think that's a fantastic little bet there, so that's a great start.
All right, leg 2. There's only about 9 cards in the pack, I think, so we should get out of this.
Hopefully go through it.
Number 2.
Oh, he's named. I don't know if I like this one. Adam Reynolds.
Interesting.
In the Queensland Derby, though, against the Dolphins, who haven't been fantastic defensively, could potentially happen. So not the worst, but yeah, not the best either. But we'll take it.
A couple of halfbacks to start, mate. Gee whiz, if this comes off, we won't have to bloody podcast anymore. All right, and the final one of the first Pack Lords multi. How do we do?
Oh, Keanu Keeney from the Gold Coast Titans. I will take that against the Dragons. Surely against the Dragons, he can score a try. Sure, he's due. For my Supercoach team, you are due. Please.
Absolutely, mate. And obviously you get a bit of a look at the cards here. Very nice design, the base cards. Some gold cards. We did open the Adam Reynolds gold card, mate. So a bit of a plug for the cards. They're really cool. But, mate, I don't think we've done too badly. A-Ray could be the one. I think Hughesy and Kinney are great to start. Where are we at? What do we got? What's the value?
I'm just bringing up the last one. I'm just throwing Keeney in. The app was a bit slow for me just then. But Keanu Keeney, I tell you what. 28-13 for that one. So I'll throw it up, guys. Get around the Pack Lords multi, and let's see if it can go. First week, that would be fantastic to come off. So throw a couple of dollars on it, and this could be the Easter present sorted. Imagine that coming off. So there you go, the Easter eggs done and dusted, because they are costing an arm and a leg. I tell you what, if I was a kid, I'd rather get some packs of these than some Easter eggs. But hey, that's my personal choice. But well done, Brent. That was very good. And again, guys, please go follow on Instagram, Pack Lords, and also please, if you want to be part of that group, it's a really good group as well, guys. There's a lot happening in it. He does lives pretty much every second night, I think it is, or something like that, Brent. So it's a really good community. They all get around it. There's competitions throughout the year as well for different sports and stuff, State of Origins and everything like that. So please go ahead. Even if you just a creator, or not a creator, you're a card holder, you're into it. You want to just be interested in finding what's happening and stuff. There's always a lot of information getting you in and around that group. So go ahead, be part of the Pack Lords crew. Let's get into our tips and best bets, though, for round 4. We'll do the round 3 results first. And tell you what, mate, I'm very keen to get into this one because, firstly, thank you to bets.com.au, our proud major sponsor for the betting side of things. And thank you to Betr for coming on board as our odds producer for the show moving forward for all of our bets that you hear and the odds that we discuss are proudly through Betr. There is a link down below in our show notes if you want to be part of it. Use that link to help support us. Support those that are supporting us. But let's go to last week's episode. So I'm only going to go over the wins for this part of it. So that way we don't go for 10 minutes like we did last week. I learnt my lesson from last week. It didn't go too smoothly.
So I can leave it this bit, right, Jolie? I'll leave it to you for the next 5 minutes.
So Brent started this one. He was in the lead, $20.89. Had me by about $7. I was $13.85. Brent got, so the Flying Mullet multi, he was I reckon I talked you into that last week and you actually went with it. You originally had Hunt and Sharp. Sharp was a late out. He actually messaged me before it all happened. He goes, what should we do about this? And we both just agreed. Just minus that leg, and then it just becomes its own sort of bet, I guess, for this one. So it became a Hunt anytime try scorer bet, which came off. So $2.65 there, Brent. Unfortunately for you, though, that was all you got. You went a bit of a different tack last week. You went a lot of good money options, but which if one of them came off would have been huge for you. But luckily for me, it didn't. And you've given me a bit of time to catch up there, and I definitely took that because I've got 3 that's come off last week. So in the Roosters Penrith game, I had a Dylan Edwards anytime try scorer. I said big games, he just seems to score at will, and I thought 262 was fantastic odds. I got that, fantastic. I then had a very nervous wait because Saturday nothing happened. I was thinking, don't tell us it's one of those 1-1 weeks again. How embarrassing. But I delivered. Sunday came and I conquered a Sunday. I'll tell you that right now. I had started with the Eels versus Dragons and I was mixed feelings about this. I actually cheated a little bit, which I felt a bit gross doing. But Jaden Sewer, anytime try scorer when he ran that line, $3.75. Thank you very much. And then the last game, I know it was the odds were stinky for it, but I thought it was a guarantee to happen, which it did. Purdue anytime try scorer, which was $1.80. So I made a bit of ground up on the weekend, which I am pumped about. You can probably hear it in my voice. Very keen to get into this week. I've got some good ones, I feel like. So the total is Brent ahead is on $23.54. I am only $1.52 behind, $22.02. So, Brent, you've got a lead, but I tell you what, I am sprinting at you at the moment.
Mate, you are on my heels, nipping at him. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for Isaac, you'd be ahead of me. So he'd given me the little lily pad to leap off to begin. So shout out Isaac for the start of the year. Yeah. And game on, Mole, as they say. I guess it's fitting that the sponsorship of, Betr come on board because I need to be better. I'll give you that much, and I'll strive to do that going forward, mate.
Mate, you definitely do need to be better with what you're doing. Let's see what you go for this year. So let's get into this week's games. So first up is our Thursday night game. It is the Manly Sea Eagles against the Sydney Roosters. Obviously, DCE back at Brookie. Hope he gets booed. I think that's just rugby league, so get booed. It is what it is. But very keen to see what happens this game. I think both teams need a win. I think probably Manly more than the Roosters in a way. They haven't won yet at home. They've had both games so far at home. They can't go 0-3 at home. That would be shocking for them. So interested to see what happens there. But then the Roosters as well, their halves haven't really connected yet. They're under a bit of pressure. The coach is starting to have noise around him, and at the fact that when you look at things, his record at Roosters last few years hasn't really been that great. Very keen to see this game, mate. I'm going to be tipping the Roosters to bounce back here. I just don't like what I'm seeing from Manly. I really don't. But Manly, with their backs against the wall, we've seen it time and time again where they get themselves up for like one game or something like that, and I feel like this could be that game. But I'll be going the Roosters.
Yeah, me too, mate. I'd always usually be a bit hesitant to back against the Eagles at home, particularly after the way they've started. But I think this could be the one where maybe they stay with them for a bit, but that last period, I think I can see the Chooks clicking into gear maybe and getting a bit of confidence out of this one. They can put a few tries on quickly, so I reckon I'm going the Chooks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, our best bet for this one. So I am going, I've sort of discovered not to go against something that feels like it's a sure thing. Tommy Turbo at Brookie seems to just score at will, so I'm just going to do it. And he's actually at $2.10 at the moment, so I've obviously got on it. It's 24 hours before. I've got no doubt that'll come in. So if you are wanting to probably get on it early. But $2.10 for a Tommy Turbo try at Brookie after what's happening with his brother. He's came out in passionate defence of him this week as well. I'm keen to see Tommy Turbo crash over. What do you got, Brent?
I'm backing in the Chooks 13 plus and Bobby Toya anytime. He's got a great matchup with Kenakula this week, but I think what we saw from Toya last week was class and a little in and away. I think he'll find it again. Chooks 13 plus Toya anytime, $5.20.
Ooh, look out. He starts with a little same gamer. I like it. Next up, the Warriors against the Tigers over there at Go Media Stadium. The Tigers got some good news with Dewey. I'll be very shocked, though, if he plays. How he was on the week. Surely he's not risking that. And over there, it's wet, Dewey, and the like. There is no way in the world I can see Adam Dewey playing this game. But, hey, stranger things have happened, I guess, in this great game of ours. Curious to see the Warriors continue this momentum going moving forward. I think this is a game that really they could probably put a score on here. It could get quite bad for the Tigers, but interesting just to see the mind frame of the Warriors where they get to this game now where there's now probably expectation for the first time for them this year. There's some expectation around this squad. Sometimes you see with the Warriors when there is expectation, they don't put in their best performance. Just keen to see how that works out. But I'll be betting. I'll be tipping the Warriors.
Man, rugby league is a funny game at the best of times. And it's like, how do you tip against the Warriors now after what they've done to start the season at home? I've tipped them, but nothing surprises me in our beautiful game anymore, mate.
Nothing at all. For our best bets, what do you got?
Yeah, look, I am backing it to be a little bit closer than people probably expect. I reckon Benji's got these boys in a good state of mind this year. I do think the Wars will be too good, and I've just gone what I feel like is some value in it, and I've gone the Wars 1 to 12 at this point in time, $3.60 for 1 to 12 on the Wars. The 13 plus is the short result, and I just feel like, even though they've got those halves missing and Dewey would be a surprise to play, I just don't think the Tigers will roll over like we've seen them do in previous seasons.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. For me, he's in form. I'm not going to go away from form or try and push it away. So I'm just going to jump on it and ride the momentum at the moment. Tana Boyd, anytime try score, you can still get 350, and he's been almost scoring at will, it feels like. So I'm all aboard the Tana Boyd effect. He's been given the show of faith. They've moved their star playmaker to 5'8" to keep him in this team. And I think against a weaker Tigers team, he could come up with one of those easy sort of crash over tries at 350. Great value, if you ask me. Battle of Brisbane, the Broncos up against the Dolphins. Geez, Broncos have been in the news all week. And this is after a very good win against the Melbourne Storm. And this has been completely overshadowed by actually a fantastic second half performance by them. The Dolphins as well coming off a really good win against the Sharks. They look to finally be getting some momentum moving forward. I just think the noise at the moment, Brent, around the Broncos, it has to get to the point where it is distracting for the players. They're human, and I just think this has maybe got to the point where we heard Reynolds come out, NRL 360 showing it today in the Triple M interview that he did today, and sort of said a little bit more than I was surprised that he actually said, and alluded to the fact that the players would be hurting after the TO sack, resigning and things like that. I'm just going the Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins will get the chocolates. I think there's just been too much happening. The no pain Haas is a huge loss for the Brisbane Broncos here.
Yeah, mate, it's made the clash very interesting. You now look at that Brisbane pack on paper. You take Payne Haas out of it. I know Willison's class, but he's no Payne Haas, and he's still a bit of a pup. Very different looking pack, isn't it? I'm still leaning with the Bronx, and I did tip the Finns last week to beat the Sharks, so I don't dismiss the Finns, but the big brother, I don't know. I just feel like in this occasion they still have the wood on the fins, and maybe we start to see the turn of the guard of that from this year. But I don't know. I still think we haven't seen the Broncos click their best in attack, and I think this will be the sort of game that these are always entertaining, pretty high scoring games as well. So I think I'm just going to stick with the Broncos, and but cracking game.
Yeah, absolutely. Best bet for this, I'm actually just going to go, I'm trying to get over that $2 value and get something happening, double your money type thing. So when I see the Dolphins that I'm tipping sitting there at $2.20 at the moment, just for a head-to-head win, I'm just going to go head-to-head because I actually feel like the Dolphins could get away from the Broncos in this one. So I don't think 1-12 is a sure thing either. If the Dolphins win, there is every chance that they could go 13 plus in this. So don't want to predict a margin, so I'm happy to get 220 for the Dolphins.
No, fair call. I am going a different way. I'm backing the Broncos to win in a tight one. So I've got a anytime try scorer of Katoni Stags into the Broncos 1-12, and I'm getting $5.90 about that right now.
Look out! There's a few things making me nervous already. There, this is my house. Is going to happen once again. Unfortunately, mate, we've got to talk about the next one. The Bulldogs against the Newcastle Knights at Core Stadium. Fletcher Sharp does return for the Newcastle Knights, which is a huge boost. It feels like he will play this week. Even though there was rumours last week, it could have been another 2 or 3 weeks that he was off for, but apparently everything seems all good in that camp for now. Anyway, keep an eye on, obviously, late mail, NRL physio, you name it. It's probably going to be out there. The Bulldogs are just looking... They weren't great against the Raiders, but they got the job done. They're defending still very well. It's just their attack I'm a little bit worried about. Hopefully a bit of a dry conditions here. An open attacking game of football at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in Sydney would be awesome to see. I've just got to go the Bulldogs. I think they'll be too strong for the Knights, especially without some of their big guns.
Agreed, mate. As much as it pains me to say it, and after what happened last week, I'm off the heart tips. So, Dogs, if they're dead set, they put us to the sword convincingly this week. The heart tip bombed me last week. I'm not doing it anymore, so they can get stuffed. I didn't like what I saw from Newcastle in attack. A very jammy try to Fletcher Hunt early. Thanks for that, Fletch, in the best. But I think the Dogs are a dead set team this year. If they are, they put us to the sword convincingly in this one.
Yep, absolutely. For best bet, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I don't want to just fully rubbish my boys and go Dogs 13 plus or anything like that. So I've jumped on a Jacob Preston and Stephen Crichton anytime try scorer, anytime multi, and that's $4.90 for those two boys to get in.
So what I like one of those, that's for sure, because for me, I've gone Jacob Preston to score 2 tries in this one. So I think his combination with Galvin's looking like it's just about to take off. They're actually starting to form a really good combination. I think against a Knights team, which, let's be fair, their defense isn't like the Raiders like it was over on the weekend. It was a pouring game. It was pissing down with rain. I think there could be some really good opportunities. I think that'll be a gap where they just continue to pepper. And I can see Preston getting a couple of tries there. So 2 tries at $6. I would take that every day of the week. I'm actually extremely confident about that bet. That's one of my most confident bets of the weekend, funnily enough. So,
mate, and I must admit, I think Galvin's criminally underrated from this year. We haven't had a really good opportunity to see him properly. The Vegas game into the bye, and then it was wet last week. Lockie Galvin looks unreal to me. I think he's going to cut us apart, unfortunately.
Yeah, and just a quick side note, in one of the drafts, I have Galvin as my halfback and Tana Boyd as my reserve halfback. And I am just in 2 minds this weekend what to do. So far to start, like last week, I actually played Galvin over Tana, which was just a dumb decision, but I still won it, luckily enough. I know draft, guys. I'm undefeated with my draft. I'm all good. I won 4 from 4 on the weekend. I'm a draft king. I know what I'm doing, but this week, I'm just looking at it because I think both halves have just extremely great matchups. I have absolutely no idea. Give Galvin his 5'8" duel for crying out loud, so I could play both of them and I would kill it. I can't believe I've got to leave out one of them. I'm fucking pissed. I'm pissed.
Hey, where's the AE? Seriously, you could run the jewels, but mate, I'm not going to tell him about the noises you were making before we went live. But it's right. It's fitting. It's fitting. All right.
Oh. Anyway, let's go. The Battle of the West, Penrith against the Eels at Combank Stadium. Just remember, Penrith, this is always going to be Parramatta's home. So you do what you want, but it's always Parramatta territory there. And I believe the Para fans have some plans in place to basically fill a lot of those bays, like a couple of those bays together. So it's a really blue and gold sort of home game feel, which would be great. And to be fair, I think they're going to need every support that they can get because this is a tough matchup here. I think Penrith are just too good. Brian Kelly comes in, unfortunately, for the injured Samrani, which I think there'll be 20 tries scored down that end. That edge will just be a leaky. You'll need more than plumbers to fix that leak. I'll tell you that for free. The gym's plumbing wouldn't be able to fix that. And shout out to your gym. You do a great job, but you wouldn't be able to fix that leak. That's for sure. Penrith for mine would just be too easy. And I think Nathan Cleary could have an absolute field day and clinic in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, mate, I feel the same. You've got Brian Kelly, who I was not. I was a bit of a Brian Kelly fan, but what we saw a couple of weeks ago from him was bloody outrageous.
Yuck.
So, yeah, what's he'll be on Alamotti because Brian Kelly's on the left, right?
Yes.
So I believe that'll be on the Alamotti side, and Cleary tends to favour that, so he could really be in for a long night, old Brian. So, yeah, mate, I'm backing the Panthers in. Usually these games are pretty close, though, right? Like going off the top of my head, generally they're pretty tight affairs, but I can see, yeah, Penrith are just not looking very stoppable at the moment, and unfortunately, mate, nothing against your boys, but I just don't see how Parramatta are going to be the ones that start to stop it.
Yeah, no, I agree. For my best bet in this game, mate, I've gone fairly precise here at $6. I've gone Penrith to win between the margin of 13 to 18 points for $6. I think they should do the job pretty well. Like you said, most of these are generally pretty close. I think that just the players that Parramatta have out at the moment, it should go out to a bit of a score. But I reckon the fact that Combank and the like and Parramatta seeming to get a little bit of form going, they might be able to keep it somewhat respectable. But I still think it'll be a decent margin there. So $6 for that, I will take.
Was it 13 to 18?
13 to 18.
Yeah, I can see like a 14 or 18 point sort of win. I've gone a bit exotic, if you will. 3 anytime try scorers. Paul Alamotti, who I hope is on Brian Kelly. He's definitely due a bit of meat. Kles, I just think we're seeing a Dally M year emerging from Nathan Cleary, and he's just getting the ball in those spots, and he's taking the line on a lot. And I think he'll find some tired para forwards at some point, doing it tough to stop him. And then I've also chucked in Dill Edwards because he just looks great. So Alamotti, Cleary, Edwards, all anytime, $13.
Probably
not value, but it's still a bit juicy.
Yeah, maybe it's just because, like, normally you see in these games where Penrith are so short price favourites, they do take those anytime try scorer markets a little bit lower than what you'd probably get most weeks. So this is probably the case there. They're anticipating a try scoring fiesta. Cowboy, talk about that. Cowboys against the Melbourne Storm up there. But at the same time, I don't know if that helps them or anything like that. It just means the Storm probably get to do a lot of things on a dry track. Probably be a bit hot and sweaty, but tell you what, I reckon this actually suits the Melbourne Storm more than the Cowboys, to be fair with you. I'm not going to muck anyone around here. I'm picking the Storm, and I think they'll do it easily.
I'm with you, mate. I can't pick the Cowboys to beat the Storm coming off the loss that the Storm did last week either.
Yeah. For my best bet, I am looking at a little bit of a Supercoach flavour to this. I'm recruiting one of them in this week, and the other one I've got as my captain at this point. But I am leaning a little bit towards Cleary as well. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cleary this week for Supercoach purposes. But I've got Farlonger and Chan anytime try scorers. Put them together, $3.80.
Oof. Yeah, Chan. Every time he gets the ball in the red zone, he looks like going over the bastard. I don't have
Eli Katoa 2.0.
Oh, I don't have him in Supercoach, and it is an absolute torment.
Getting in this week.
No,
I've got to do it.
I'm a man
He's
of
a keeper
morals.
for me.
Man of morals. I'm not doing it. I'm taking the high road. So, Joey Chan, I never wish ill will against a player, but a little head knock and a little sit down for the night would be great. Anyway, moving on. I've jumped on Storm drubbing, mate. I'm going Storm 13+. And I just think the Cowboys middles are in for a rough night. So I've gone Harry Grant anytime into Stefano anytime, and I'm getting $14 for that.
Holy shit! I've actually put Stefano into my Supercoach this week as well, so because I actually think he'll score. He'll just march over drink. He'll just have a drinky trying to hold onto his shoelaces. So I like that because Harry Grant was pretty quiet last week, so I reckon he'll come out and want a big game. And against the Cowboys, he can definitely just walk over the line as well. So that one scares the shit out of me. Anyway, Sunday games. This is where I just came into my element last week, guys. So listen closely, please. Raiders against the Sharkies. Both teams need another game where I think there's a couple of really good games this weekend. Some good ones where it feels like one of those teams really need that win. This is one of those as well. Raiders at home. I think they will be too good here. I just haven't really not been impressed with the Sharks so far. I just can't tip them. I think it'll be close, but I just think the Raiders will be too good.
Yeah, again, it's just a funny game, rugby league. I just
get
the feeling that maybe we do see the finger get pulled out a bit by the Sharks for some reason. So I'm back.
The Viking shark clap back.
Yeah, and they got him last year in the finals at home too, which was a big result. So yeah, the Sharks will still be good on their day, and I think they'll figure it out. I think at AFB, once he pulls his finger out, they'll start going a bit better and can't be too far away. I'm going.
So you're on the Sharks? Yeah. Wow. I'll tell you what, Ricky's very good at these games to get emotions up. He'll be telling them all week they kicked us out of the comp last year. They ended our run, basically, and he will have them foaming at the mouth by the time Sunday afternoon comes. I cannot wait to see how they come out.
Both teams desperate. This will be a cracker.
Absolutely, and that's prime Sunday spot. There should be a bit of ball movement, but I reckon both packs really need to aim up in this one. I think the Raiders have the better pack, and that probably should get them home. My best bet, I've gone in a close one. The Raiders, just a simple 1-12, $3.20.
Funny you say that because I've gone the Sharks in a close one, 1-12 at $3.40.
Oh, there we go. Maybe one of us is going to be happy. I reckon one of us will be. I can't see this being a 13-plus game, so we will see who gets that one. And finally, the Titans against the Dragons. We're talking off air, but seriously, NRL, what you go with putting poo-slinging dog shit games on this Sunday night time slot where it's already, you've watched 7 games of footy, you've knuckled down into these, you're going, oh man, you've got to then sit through this stuff. This is 3 weeks in a row. Give us something better. Put these games on that first time slot on a Saturday and give us a good game on that Sunday night. It deserves it. But anyway, that's my little gripe done. And I don't want to talk much on this game because I just don't want to give it the airtime. To be fair, I actually don't know the tip, I really don't. I've been tossing it. This has been the hardest game for me to tip because Dragons are out, no Couchman brothers, which I think really hurts them. I think they've been two of their best forwards apart from Jaden Sewer, which I spoke about. Leilua's starting to hit a little bit of form, but consistency-wise so far this year, Couchmans have been doing some really good stuff, especially Ryan off the bench. They've gone to another level when he gets on the field. I think they'll really miss him. Gutho hasn't quite been himself to start the year. Halves are under extreme pressure. Oh, man. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go the Titans at home to get a win finally. Let's lock him in, and I really hope that change happens and Brimson goes to centre. Let's do it. Titans at home, backing him in.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. This was hard to split. I tried to back St. George last week. They did me dirty, so I think those outs that you mentioned is pretty significant for them. Couchman boys they breathe a fair bit of life into their pack, so I think the trip up to the Gold Coast is going to it'll be an interesting game. Obviously can't tip it with much confidence, but I'm just going the Titans. I think they've shown a little bit at times, and maybe they get it right on Sunday, but gee whiz, I didn't feel great saying that.
Not at all. And your best bet for this one, mate?
Yeah, I'm going just hoping there's some points in it. I've just gone a pretty simple, if you will. Kinney and Jaden Campbell, both anytime try scorers at $6.50.
Oh, I like it. I've gone the money man. Christian Tuipulotu, 2+ tries at $3.50. So I think against the Titans, I think he should be able to step up here. And we normally see it with him. He normally, with these games, he normally almost bully him in a way and get over the line for a couple. And I think Gutho, the pressure's starting to mount on him. He might pull out one of those games where he puts a couple of cut-out passes out to him and he crosses over the line. Hail Mary time, mate, before we leave. And I'll start here. I originally had a few teams 13+. So I've got the Warriors to win 13 plus, the Bulldogs 13 plus, Penrith Panthers 13 plus, and the Melbourne Storm 13 plus. Guess what? It didn't reach our limit of $10. I was thinking it was like $8 something. It's just they're backing it in. I was like, far out. So I then went to get it over the line. I put the Roosters head to head in there as well, which, to be honest, out of all these legs, that's the leg I'm least confident about. $4.38. So I'll put that as me 13 plus multi basically, and roasting a chook in there also. So, or actually roasting a sea eagle, I guess, because I'm racking the Roosters to win. But there it is, 14.38.
Mate, I've gone something very. It's going to be probably sound absolutely wild, especially because my tipping form's not great. But I've tipped every game head to head as my Hail Mary. So I have gone the Roosters to beat the Eagles, the Wars to beat the Tigers, the Bronx to beat the Finns, the Dogs to beat the Knights, Rift to beat the Eels, Storm to beat the Cows. I'm backing the Sharks to beat the Raiders, and I'm backing the Titans to beat the Dragons. And right at this point in time, I'm getting $20.16 for that.
I don't mind it. Hey, if it's going to be a perfect round.
A few questionable. But yeah, got to keep it simple, stupid, and it's probably still stupid, but Hail Marys are Hail Marys, aren't they?
That's all right. Thanks again to bets.com.au and to Betr for all those odds there. That's it, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a massive episode. I actually didn't anticipate this to happen at all. So apologies about the overtime there. But thank you once again to everyone listening. Hit that like, subscribe button. Get keen for Sunday. Make sure you're hitting that bell icon, liking, subscribing on YouTube if that's the way you watch or listen, because that's an episode you don't want to miss. Insides of a former great of the game, which is fantastic to have. Plenty happening. Enjoy the football over the weekend. Some fantastic games. It looks like a lot of super coaches out there. There could be some huge scores this weekend. I know a few teams are out there struggling, but there's also some great captaincy options, some great pairings. There could be some really good scores out there. But Brent, thank you, mate. It's been a big one. It's been a huge one. Fingers crossed that this first Pack Lords multi comes off. It'd be a fantastic start. Let's rip and tear over the weekend.
Yeah, mate, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you linking in the Pack Lords multi as well. So shout out for that, and let's see if we can get off to a good start, mate. Now, all the best. What are you thinking with your captains this week for Supercoach? Just quickly before we go.
Yeah, just quickly. At the moment, I've got a Reece Walsh VC into the Sewer C, but I'm really liking Cleary. There's something about Cleary for this game against Para. I think I feel this Supercoach podcast I've listened to and stuff. Everyone seems to be going on about the whole Sewer factor, but I get it. I think he'll score very, very well. Don't get me wrong. I'm kind of leaning towards taking the VC off Walsh though and putting it onto Cleary to have a bit of a taste, because I just think Cleary with the goal kicking added to it as well, and him just pulling the strings there, he could be on for a 150 plus score. And as soon as that happens, I know Sewer could probably do the same, but I'll be taking that loop for sure this week with a number of players out. What about you?
Mate, you said the exact same three players that I'm looking at, and it's hard to split them. I'm running lean this week, so it's almost a free loop opportunity as well, and it's trying to figure out that VC between Walshy and Cleary. I just know I won't get it right, but I feel like that Cleary's the guy it's got to be, and Sewell would be captain if he doesn't go as well as I expect.
Yeah, and guys, if you do want to hear maybe a little bit more Supercoach stuff, we haven't really done much about it, but I know a lot of you out there have followed the page over time for the Supercoach aspect. We're both very keen players. We do play it. We can probably try and add a segment or two each week, but just let us know what you want to hear in the comments. If there is a few comments there about the Supercoach stuff, happy to sort of find a way to put some in. Make sure we don't go for 2-hour-long podcasts. We don't want to be doing that, obviously, but we'll try and find ways to fit it in. If it is, we always just want to cater for what you guys want. So just let us know in the comments or message the page, and we'll do what we can to make sure we cater that for you guys moving forward. But thank you very much. Like, subscribe, as I said, follow us across the social media pages, and we will speak to you again very, very soon. Goodbye.